Jarvis, drop my needle.
Hello, this is the hardcore legend Mick Foley, and if you are interested in listening to idiots, you came to the right place. Have a nice day.
Woo! That's an attention getter.
He's a very strange young man.
He's an idiot.
What we're dealing with here is a complete lack of respect for the law.
Oh my God, he's an idiot.
You know, of course, that you're out of your jurisdiction.
Personally, I think you're an idiot.
But that's the evidence in the car.
But I was going into Toshi Station to pick up some power converters.
Always like to keep my audience riveted.
Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, friends and fiends, and welcome to Free Range Idiocy, the podcast about everything, but mostly just the stuff we like. It's said that you only get one chance to make a first impression, but the same could be said of a last impression, especially if that last impression means leaving someone unconscious and or unresponsive long enough for a 3 count. In honor of March Madness, we've created our own bracket of wrestling finished moves, and we're going to count them down for you to give you the keep on doing this with a finger. I'm like a proctologist on a bad day. To give you the authoritative, greatest of all time move that'll put away his opponent in this episode 200. What are you calling this one here? I just want to make sure. The finisher of all finishers. I like that. I didn't have that in there. I'm your Uncle Todd, and with me, as always, is the man who still claims to have invented the DDT, but is too afraid to challenge Jake the Snake Roberts, lest he find himself with a python crawling all over him in the middle of the night. Sleep tight thinking about that. He has been my partner in Idiocy for over 2 decades, and he always kicks out at 2 3/4. I give you the man they call Tim.
All I've ever wanted was destiny to be fulfilled. It is in my hands. I must not fail. I must not fail.
Fulfilled. I love that. I don't mean to interrupt you, but that was freaking genius.
Even through the darkest days, this fire burns always. This fire burns always.
The darkest. Yeah, bub.
This is the proving ground. Misery begins to rise. Turn away from yesterday. Tomorrow's in my eyes. Oh, nevermore to be held down by the waves against me. Nevermore to be cast aside. This day is mine. Even through the darkest days, this fire burns always. This fire burns always.
Okay, this is either a song about gonorrhea or this is a Kane remix.
Wrong on both counts. This is CM Punk's original theme in WWE called This Fire Burns. If you go back to Money in the Bank 2013, It is the theme he comes out to in Chicago where he is hailed as a hero and John Cena is booed. Well, apparently that was 13 years in the making, 12 years ahead of its time in a way. So,
yeah.
But
all right, well,
that is, and a little bit of trivia. That song, "This Fire Burns," was actually, I think, originally intended for Randy Orton, and somehow got assigned over to CM Punk. And Orton was a little hot on that for a while. So,
well, did he burn? And was it when he peed?
I don't know. The voices in his head. I don't know what they did there. So,
I think that one's done him pretty well.
How are you, sir?
I am doing well. It's been a long time since we've talked.
It's been ages. You got to insert 2,000 years later.
I'm so glad that you're heading in this Christopher Walken sort of expression,
and I wasn't prepared for your reaction to it,
and how you're working like a Boston accent into it. Like it's this glorious mismatch.
I'm just playing with it.
I'm loving it.
I'm just playing with it.
You're having fun with it, and I appreciate that so much. I'm doing well, sir, and yourself?
I'm good. I'm doing very well.
Yeah, good.
Doing very well. Can't complain.
Well, that's always good because.
Are we doing a Week in Geek to start this? Oh
no, we aren't. Yes, in case you missed it, which if you subscribed, then you wouldn't have. Week in Geek is now its own thing. It is now happening on Week in Geek Wednesday, and we have Free Range Idiocy Friday. So we're trying to separate things out here, make the shows a little bit more digestible because we've essentially flown the white flag on trying to be more brief. It's just not happening. I'm sorry, folks. It's like me trying to get a 6-pack. Like it's just not happening.
What Uncle Todd means to say is my 4 or 5 year like Odyssey.
We're in season 7 now, dude.
All right, my 6-year Odyssey to finally split off into its own show has finally come to fruition. What once started as a 10 to 15 minute segment grew into 30, grew into 45, grew into 60 minutes.
It's a slow rolling coup is what it is.
It has been separated. The saucer section has been separated. We are flying now the more diminutive version of the Enterprise.
Or you could say, we finally circumcised the Weekend Geek.
And there he goes.
We just trimmed it right off.
You had to go there. Good Lord Almighty. Oh God, there he goes. Oh,
I'm sorry. It is 10:35 p.m. here on the East Coast, and you're watching Perspectives.
Is that what that is? Perspectives?
Well,
could be ramblings and thoughts of a malcontent, but
I mean, well, that's the subtitle. But so we've actually tried this too. We normally have had the entire month of March being taken over by our brackets.
Yes.
And 4 shows, and because of the way the schedule worked out this year, with a little bit of travel for the man they call Tim, and just the way things have fallen, we're trying something a little different here. We're going to compress our brackets into 2 shows. And we're actually
also it's March 25th, so we kind of have to.
I mean, hey, it's an imperfect system.
It is
all the way around. So, and also what we're trying to do is we're actually doing a little bit like how a lot of the award shows do. There's a lot of the awards that are awarded before the show, and for those poor schmucks who do the real work, and then the glory goes to the people who just come out of their air-conditioned trailer for like 15 minutes per day. Essentially what we are doing is we are doing the very first round of our bracket. We've already done that. We will talk about a couple of highlights here for each of us of things that we might want to just talk about a little bit, but then we're going to get right on to kind of that would be the round of
so we're going to whittle. Well, so we have the field of 64.
Okay, so then
we're only going to take the first 2 brackets of that field of 64, if I'm understanding this correctly. We're going to pick initial winners there.
Yes.
Then we're going to pick winners from those winners to get us into what is essentially, let me just make sure I have this right. It would be the Elite 8. So we would essentially have one half of the Elite 8 completed. And then in our next episode, we are going to do brackets 3 and 4 to get the other half of the Elite 8.
No, we're getting all the way to the Final 4 today, sir. For the first half.
You keep changing this on me.
Just when you think you've found
you
the
literally
rules,
just said brackets regions 1 and 2. That can't be
Yes.
all 64.
No, it isn't. So we're doing all the way up to what would be the Final 4. So there'll be.
So we are doing regions 3 and 4 then.
No, we're doing brackets 1 and 2, and we are going to get all the way to the winner of bracket 1, the winner of bracket 2. We just aren't going to do
okay.
So we'll have the first half of the Final 4 here.
Holy
then
crap,
next week
dude.
we get to that, and we get the Final 4 there, and then we announce the winners of our Final 4.
All right. Man they call Tim is displeased, but okay.
All right. Anyways,
should have written this down.
So, anyways, well, you were living it up in Texas, eating barbecue, living on your expense account.
Half pound of brisket, half a chicken. I didn't do 4 fried chickens and a Coke. I did half a chicken. Cutting down.
Well, hey, that's good. It's good.
Nice
Nice living
sausage.
healthy.
Well, I'm trying.
So
I
actually,
did have a side salad.
So the restaurant that we went to tonight actually had on the menu. I was so pissed that it wasn't gluten free. They had a gnocchi mac and cheese with fresh ricotta and bacon crumble breadcrumb topping, and then crispy pork belly on top of that.
And you said the food was meh?
Well, the thing is, I didn't get a chance to have that because it wasn't gluten free.
Oh.
So I ended up having one of the only things they had.
That sounds divine, by the way.
They had a 6-ounce fillet that I had. It was okay. It just wasn't seasoned very well, and then the other stuff was kind of underwhelming. Like
they give you a Bordelaise sort of sauce or anything, or
it was a beef sauce. That's what they called it. I'm like, and it was not. It just
nothing generic enough sounding than beef sauce.
Yes, it was lovely.
Here's the sauce for your beef.
But the fillet itself was just not really seasoned at all.
Oh, that's too bad.
You know, I was like,
you got to throw a little rub on there, baby. Got to throw a little rub. Little rub.
And then the little broccolini was like, okay, yeah, but you gave me like 3 broccolini, which are absolutely tiny.
I hate broccolini, by the way.
I'm okay with it. I'm all right. But the problem was, it was like, there wasn't that much of it.
I'm doing the Rock's version of the cut the throat.
I appreciate that. And then the little fingerling potatoes they were actually the highlight, and that's saying something. When fingerling potatoes, you're like, ooh. So, anyways,
huzzah!
So how do you want to do this? Let's. Do you want to?
I think you should explain this because apparently I have no idea what we're trying to do here.
Okay, so we had our opening round, and we have 64. Which we're starting with 32 to get us down to the first, 16 in these 2 brackets.
Mm-hmm.
So essentially, we're going from the round of 64 to the round of 32, but we're only doing it with 2 brackets, 2 regions. Okay. So really, out of the first 2 brackets, there were 2 of the preliminary matchups that I just kind of want to talk about, because all of this is randomized by the man they call Tim. Because I kind of.
I got right, by the way. That much I got right.
Of course you got it right, sir. You are the brains behind this operation. I mean, I kind of listed out as many wrestling finishers as I could, and then I gave them to the man they call Tim as the wrestling historian to be like, am I right, and do these suck? And he changed a few things and added a few things, subtracted, and we got our field of 64, and then he randomized them. So you wind up with some of these matchups where you're like, oh, really? I've got to make that decision right out the gate. First one for me, the matchup where we had in round 1, the Stone Cold Stunner up against the Camel Clutch. We got Sheiky Baby against Stone Cold Steve Austin in the opening round. Like, this feels like this should be like an Elite 8.
The one that was the most cruel, and I don't know how this happened in again, 64 names, how this happened in a random selection. Brett the Hitman Hart Sharpshooter against Kurt Henning's Mr. Perfect's Perfect Plex.
Yes.
That to me was like...
Well, wait, was that in the opening round?
That is in the... was. Oh, well, that might be in Region 3. Maybe
it is, yeah. I wasn't going to talk about that one today. But yeah, no, that was a shame too. The other one that for me in bracket 2, the Pop-Up Powerbomb versus Sister Abigail. It's so the tough thing here is, like, the Pop-Up Powerbomb, the way Kevin Owens delivers it, it looks good, seems devastating.
Mm-hmm.
Bray Wyatt, Sister Abigail does not, like, if you spend any time examining the actual impact, like, the person is not actually landing, like, their head is not landing on the mat at all. Like Bray Wyatt has their head cradled the entire time. They are safe as houses. They're like, there's no part of their head that is even making contact with the mat. Fine, whatever. The thing about that move that was so cool is the fact that, like, he has them like bent backwards and he's supporting them, and he essentially is able to look at his opponent, look down at the opponent while he's cradling their head like this. And something about that, whether it was as Bray Wyatt or as the Fiend, was just, it was kind of menacing. You know, the fact that he has his opponent helpless, wrestling helpless, and is able to just hold that there for a moment. And then the motion is violent, like where he basically spins them around. The impact is where it's lacking. And that was the one that I actually had to think about that for a while and really judge, like, okay, what's more important to me here? Like, the psychology of it or the impact of it? That was a difficult call for me. I remember I deliberated over that one quite a bit. Other than that, I didn't see a ton here that were really tough. I mean, I guess probably if I had to choose one more at gunpoint, like the GTS versus Gore, or the Spear, that was a little tough, but it was actually pretty easy with that, because, I mean, as much as I like CM Punk, like, I do kind of think his finisher is lame. Like, it doesn't feel like his knee even makes that much contact sometimes.
Oh my God.
I am just saying. That's just me. That is just me. I know I've disgusted you. Please, any from your
whatever
opening.
Cred you got from going to that indie show has just evaporated. in that statement right there. I'm just saying.
Whatever. I'm just glad that we just clipped the tip of this show off and sent it on its way to Wednesday.
Gosh. Oh, good Lord Almighty.
Any tough matchups for you?
I was struggling with let's see, in region 1. There were some difficult ones. To see Flair go up against the Road Warriors was a hard one.
Yeah.
Because as good as the figure 4 is, that Doomsday device is something else.
We're gonna have some words about that one. Okay.
We are going to have some words. What else? What was another one that was a tough one? The Vader bomb and the Code Breaker to me was a little.
I'm not a huge fan of the Code Breaker.
Well, see, here's and maybe this is something we should discuss that might end up changing the way I thought about this, but a little bit. But I'm kind of factoring in when I advance a move, I'm kind of factoring in, is it still devastating today? Is it still considered a finisher today? The Code Breaker, I think we talked about this a few episodes ago with like Elimination Chamber. We're seeing that move being used way too much now.
Oh yeah, it's a DDT style thing. Yeah.
Yeah, and same with the DDT. And I'm kind of you're going to find I'm not going to be consistent across the board here, because when we talk about, for example, the DDT, I am purely thinking about Jake the Snake Roberts doing the DDT.
Yes, because there's some moves that are so distinctive
right
to them,
but in the case of the Code Breaker, I'm kind of devaluing it because of the fact that I think it is now overplayed and it is not devastating anymore.
Well, because it's also like Chris Jericho's had approximately 8 finishing moves in his career.
That is true as well.
So there is something to like the Vader bomb. Like that is like it is devastating because it is delivered by Vader, and because that mammoth of a human being is going to land on you flat.
Yes.
And no matter what, that's devastating wrestling reality, like kayfabe, and also in reality, like there is no way to really soft sell someone like Vader falling 2 or 3 feet onto you.
Yep.
That's going to hurt no matter what.
Yeah.
So no,
Big Leon is not going to pull a punch on that one. Let me tell you.
Well, even if he wanted to, what's he going to do? Defy gravity? I mean, it's like,
I know.
So I think we're kind of on the same page there, and I think those are kind of a case by case basis.
The other difficult matchup we had in Region 2 was the Heart Attack, the Heart Foundation's finisher, up against the Diamond Cutter DDPs. Because I know we want to throw a lot of flowers on Randy Orton for hitting the RKO out of nowhere, but DDP was doing that shtick a long time before Randy Orton started doing it.
True.
And that was one of the key things that got him over to the point where they made him world champion. And I really struggled with that one because the Heart Attack is probably one of the more unique and stands out as a finisher for the tag team. A lot of the tag teams we included here had very, very strong finishers.
Oh, yeah.
The other one I want to call out, not that this was a tough matchup, to be honest with you, but I'm glad you pulled out the Spike Pile Driver by the Brainbusters. That was devastating, and that goes up against the Moonsault by Lita, which, I've already tipped my hand a little bit where I'm going on that one. So
yeah.
What else? The other difficult one is the last bracket of Region 2, which is AJ Styles Clash against Randy Orton's RKO. So those were struggles for me.
That was an easy one for me.
We will discuss.
Yep. So you want to start us off here on bracket 1 and just kind of run down.
Yep.
So what's your matchup here for the first one? Should we even discuss like how we got to these, or just go with them?
Why don't we just run through them first, and then we can circle back to any that surprised. Okay. So I'll start with mine, and then you can tell me which one's surprised. So in the first matchup, I have Kane's Chokeslam against Becky Lynch's Disarmor. I went with the Chokeslam.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I then in the next matchup we have Bradshaw's Clothesline from Hell against Mankind's Mandible Claw. I went Mandible Claw. Third matchup is the Road Warriors Doomsday Device versus Ric Flair's Figure 4. I went with the Doomsday Device. Number 5, Triple H's Pedigree against Batista's Powerbomb. I went with the Pedigree. Number 6, Jake Roberts' DDT against Sami Zayn's Blue Thunderbomb. I went with the DDT. Number 7, the Stunner by Stone Cold Steve Austin against the Iron Sheik's Camel Clutch. I went with the Stunner on this one. Number 8, I don't know if I've lost. Let me 1, 2, 3, 4.
No, I think you got
5, 6, 7. No, number 7 and then number 8. Sorry,
Okay.
Number 7. Undertaker's Tombstone Piledriver against Arn Anderson's Spinebuster. I love me some AA Spinebuster action, but the Undertaker, I'm sorry, the Tombstone is just has a bit more on it. So the Tombstone advances, and then lastly, in Region 1, the Vader Bomb from Vader against Chris Jericho's Codebreaker. If you couldn't tell already, I'm going with the Vader Bomb.
All right. So I think we really only have 2 points of divergence. So I've got the choke slam coming out of Kane and Becky Lynch. I've also got the Mandible Claw. Here's the first point of divergence. I went with the Figure 4. And here's the thing, like I love me some Road Warriors. Doomsday Device was devastating looking. However, Figure 4 is iconic. And it is one of those things where I remember play wrestling, throwing somebody in a Figure 4, and legit they're like, oh dear God, stop this. Like, if you lock that in for real, you can hurt somebody. Or maybe I was just doing it completely ass wrong. But it is one of those things where it is iconic because it was one of the first submission moves that I really remember seeing that wasn't like a sleeper or something like that. Like it was a submission move that you saw someone legitimately like, oh my gosh, selling for, and could be in it for a while. So I give it some. Believe me, I wrestled with this one a little bit, but ultimately Figure 4 takes it. Pedigree, I had that one. Of course, I had to go with the DDT. Also went with the Stunner. And here's another point of divergence. I went with the Spinebuster, and here's why. Here is why. Love me the Tombstone Piledriver. Love that. Arn Anderson's Spinebuster, because of the way he delivered it.
Yep.
It was just so crisp, and it looked like the impact was legit for shootsies, would knock the ever-loving wind out of you. Like, Arn did not look like that. He made that look like a shoot move.
Fredo, you broke my heart.
I love the Tombstone Piledriver. The other thing is, it can become a problem because much like some finishers, like you can't put it on everybody. Like Undertaker could not do that on Yokozuna, Giant Gonzalez. Like there is a restriction because it is how much you can lift and manipulate the other person, and you can only do that to smaller opponents. Meanwhile, Arn Anderson could probably spine bust Yokozuna because Yoko would help him. There was actually a great video where Lex Luger was talking about when he slammed Yokozuna. And of course, Lex Luger,
because of the boots he was wearing.
Yeah, which is stupid. I don't know why the hell that was. But I mean, even so, like you would think like it's going to be difficult anyways. And Yoko was just like, bruh, just lift me. And essentially Yoko slammed himself, like got his hand on like between pushing himself up and then leveraging himself. Like he essentially body slammed himself.
Yeah.
Which is like, because Yokozuna is one of those dudes who's like a ridiculous athlete, even though he weighed like 400 pounds.
Yeah.
But I mean, Arn could spine bust Yoko and make it look like $1 million. And I think that there is something to that. And it is specifically Arn Anderson. The only other person I could say that even had a spine buster close to this. Like it's the only time that this move was ever buyable as a finisher because it looks so good. The only other person who came close, Ron Simmons.
Okay.
And that's because Ron probably was actually trying to like bury you in the mat.
So one thing I will agree with you on was AA put some stank on it. No doubt. When
it was crisp.
And he was one of the ones that stood out to me when I would somehow get lucky enough to catch WCW on a Saturday morning, because was not prevalent in our area, and you only got it, in kind of spurts. Arn Anderson, like, he was one of the few heels that legitimately scared me. I thought this guy could actually like do damage to someone. And when you saw him in the ring and he did that spine buster, and I'm going to push the mic away for a minute, but when he does that spine buster with all that effort, and then he would do this, he would throw the guy down, boom, and just go like that. Like every single time he would do it, like he would just do that motion. That was like his motion to just be like, he's done, and then he would pin him. Don't disagree with that. And that was a hard pick for me because I love me some Arn Anderson, but up against the Undertaker's tombstone, I unfortunately have to disagree with you and say well, no, I'm sorry, I don't have the soundboard in front of me, but you're wrong.
And you're more than welcome to. Like, I'm
Just
totally willing to admit this is a preference, and it is so super specific, because I think they're, much as we said, like it depends on the person delivering the move and whether it's iconic to them. This is one of those things where it's like, there's times when you have to be really good to buy something like that as a finisher. And to me, this is almost a bit of a lifetime, a lifetime achievement award sort of thing for Arn Anderson. Like, he was that good that he could sell this as like, yeah, I've now knocked this guy out with this one move that everybody else now does is like, boom, and it knocks him down for like 1.5 seconds.
Yep.
You know what I mean? I just kind of felt like that deserved that. And then I had the Vader bomb as well, because again, I think that's just devastating looking. So,
and what was the other one we differed on?
Doomsday Device and Figure 4.
Yeah, you're wrong on that one too. I'm sorry.
Okay, and again, like some of that is just the legacy of that move, and the fact that it is really the first submission move that I saw, other than a sleeper, that I saw people selling in, and to me that was like, it was just cool because it was so different. You know what I mean?
And maybe I'm
and I didn't see a lot of Road Warriors back in the day either.
Maybe I'm just jaded because the Figure 4 has been gotten out of so many times. But when you put that move up against what the Road Warriors were doing, it's very hard to pick the Figure 4 as the better move.
It's a total preference thing.
The Doomsday Device was just so devastating.
Yeah,
I mean, to 360 your opponent with a clothesline off your team member's shoulders. Even if the Road Warriors were wrestling today in today's landscape where we have a lot of false finishes, I don't know that one gets a false finish. You know what I mean?
No, that's getting protected up the yin yang. Yeah,
got to be protected. So
and it's the modern day 3D.
I agree with that statement,
and I'm fine with that. And in a lot of these, if you put this up against the pedigree, I'm taking the Doomsday Device.
Yeah.
Figure 4, though, again, it's that uber specific sort of core memory.
Yep.
I'm sorry I've disappointed you. But let's move on to bracket 2. Who do you got here?
All right. So in the first of the 8 matchups in bracket 2, the CM Punk's GTS against Rhino's Gore. I went with the GTS. It is a very effective and believable finisher.
I'm going to get a seltzer while you pat yourself on the back.
I will pat myself on the back because we've heard your opinion on it, and you're wrong. No, the GTS, in my mind, is another devastating move. Punk has laid this on Cena. He's laid it on so many people. He laid it on Drew McIntyre, and
like 8 times.
It has looked devastating every time. I feel it is much better than the Gore, which I know has become the de facto move by the Samoan family, apparently. So,
which follow that lineage. I don't know.
So yeah,
is Rhino Samoan? Do we just not know that?
Maybe he's 1/10. I don't know.
Oh, maybe.
All right. Anyways, I'll keep going. In matchup number 2,
Rhino Anoa'i.
Rhino Anoa'i.
Maybe there's another apostrophe that's Rhino. I don't know.
It could be, or I can just do my Christopher Walken impression. Hey there, Rhino.
It works for me.
All right. Second matchup in Region 2 is the Heart Attack from the Heart Foundation against Diamond Dallas Page's Diamond Cutter. I'll have more to say about this, but I went with the Heart Attack. Third matchup, Lita's Moonsault up against the Brain Busters. That was Arn Anderson and Telly Blanchard's tag team in the WWE. They use a spike pile driver, and I had to go with a spike pile driver. That was devastating. In the fourth matchup, Taka Michinoku doing the Michinoku driver, and I forget if Penta is doing this now as the Penta driver.
Essentially, yeah. I think there might be a slight variation, but it basically is.
Up against Sting's Scorpion Death Drop. I'm sorry, I got to give the nod to the Michinoku driver. It looked devastating when I first saw it on TV, and the Scorpion Death Drop is good, but just doesn't have the same stank on it. So I'm going to go with the Michinoku driver. In our fifth matchup, Kevin Owens pop-up powerbomb versus Bray Wyatt's Sister Abigail. I'm giving the nod to Sister Abigail. We'll have words on that. Number 6, Bianca Belair's KOD up against Razor Ramon's Razor's Edge. I got to give it to the bad guy on the Razor's Edge.
Hey, yo.
Number 7, Daniel Bryan's Yes Lock against Seth Rollins' Curb Stomp. I went with the Yes Lock on that one. And then our 8th matchup in Region 2, AJ Styles Clash versus Randy Orton's RKO. I went with the RKO. So where did we differ, sir?
Pretty much just the first one.
Really? So everything else was the same except for the GTS, huh?
Yeah, so I went with a gore slash spear. My reasoning there is just, again, like, not that the GTS is a horrible move. It's just the physics of it. Like, okay, yeah, I'm going to put my shoulder into your solar plexus, right into the breadbasket, as Gorilla Monsoon would say. If done correctly,
it's not the shoulder. He's giving him a high knee to the head.
Wait, I thought the gore was a spear.
I'm sorry. You're talking about the gore at first.
Yeah.
I thought you were talking about the GTS. Sorry.
No. So, and especially the way Rhino delivered it, with the size and quickness of Rhino, prime Rhino, let us just say. Now we have Rhino Plus. At least the last couple times I've seen him is like, ooh, somebody's been working out at Krispy Kreme. Not that I want to say that too loud because he could still kick my ass. But when Rhino was doing this, it looked like he was breaking people in half. And now again, it's still done well sometimes, but I mean, we've got everybody doing some variation of a spear now, and it's been devalued. But speaking specifically about the Rhino gore, it just looked like it was going to fold someone in half, and that's just kind of why I went with that. I also went with the Heart Attack, Spike Pile Driver, Michinoku Driver, which is just so cool, and the Sting Death Drop, Scorpion Death Drop is basically just like an inverted DDT where you don't really actually get the guy on the head, and again, their head never touches the ground.
Yeah,
which again, hey, good for safety's sake, but it kind of looks meh. Pop-up power. Oh, I know. So we had 2 pop-up power bomb. I went with that one. Because again, it kind of came down to just the impact. I love the psychology of Sister Abigail. I do love that, and it really was almost a coin flip. I just love the impact of the power bomb.
That does violate one of your arguments, though, against the GTS and some of these other ones you picked against.
Again,
because
totally. Yep.
There is not a way that move is not easily delivered to a bigger man. If you take someone like Vader or Yokozuna, you are not going to get them up to do a pop-up power bomb.
Well, true, but I think I actually I had to watch a compilation because I wanted to get a good perspective on this one because this is one of the ones where I was like, okay, let me research this. So I saw a bunch of Sister Abigails. I saw a bunch of pop-up power bombs. I believe he did this to Mark Henry once. Some of it comes down to like, that was one of the strikes against the move was you can see the assistance of the other person so obviously when you look for it. Like you can, and that is the thing, like the best finishers to me require it to look like you're actually putting the move on, as opposed to like, here, let me help you by doing, X, Y, and Z. This felt like it's so obvious the person is essentially jumping into, up onto Owen's shoulders. And, as long as you have someone who can jump, I mean, in Mark Henry, powerlifters can jump like mofos because they've got the leg muscles. I think it was Mark Henry in the compilation. If not, there was a couple of bigger dudes who he did deliver it to. But again, it's only limited by how far that person can jump.
Yeah.
Again, this is one of those ones where I can't really defend it through logic. It was just a preference, really.
Yeah.
And I kind of went with the impact over the psychology. And I'll kind of regret it, but at the same time, I then picked Razor's Edge in the other half of this matchup, so it don't matter which one. They are not making it out of that. And then I went with the Yes Lock and the RKO as well.
All right.
So okay, we had two disagreements in each bracket.
I did struggle with the RKO Styles Clash one because AJ Styles' finisher is very unique, and it does look devastating. But you have to give the nod to the RKO. If I was going to give it either to Diamond Dallas Page or to Randy Orton, but not to both, because the charm of the move, if you want to call it that, or the part of the uniqueness of the move, was the ability to hit it out of nowhere. And there is an element to what Randy does that's different from DDP. DDP would hit it out of nowhere from a move that he was engaged in with the opponent. Randy has somehow mastered this ability to catch people midair.
Yes,
or in motion, and that is something.
I think it's become a challenge for his opponents to be like, "Hey, could you give me an RKO here?" And he's like, "Sure, why not?"
Did you watch the reel? Did you watch the reel I sent? And if you didn't, no worries, because it takes me about 5 days to watch the ones you send me.
Yeah.
But I sent you a reel from JD McDonough where he's interviewed by Chris Van Vliet, and he's talking about how they worked with a crash pad and stuff, and he's like, yeah, stood at the top, and he's like, yeah, I got you. Yeah. I just love that. It's like he's jumping off of a freaking 15-foot high steel cage. He's like, yeah, I can hit it.
Yeah.
Just eyeballing it. He's just like, yeah, I can hit it.
The thing is with the Styles Clash is, and actually someone did hit a Styles Clash at that indie show on Friday.
Oh, really?
And it is and as soon as he started doing it, like you could hear all the people around me, Styles Clash. I'm like, yeah, I know. We got it. Yeah. And actually, I was probably one of those people. But it requires so much setup, and it ends up being cool.
It does, and it's very risky too. You have to. I'm trying to think. I thought Styles had done it to one wrestler who, I forget if it was on Independent or if it was in New Japan, but did it to one where the wrestler wasn't thinking about or something happened where he tucked his head instead of going this way, and because that was not good.
No, because that is, and it is kind of that idea of like understanding how wrestlers take bumps, and that is a very unintuitive.
Yes,
bump.
Like normally you would tuck, like if you're going into a pile driver, you would tuck your head in and stuff to protect it. This one, you would naturally have to go back because of and for those who don't know, when Styles does the Styles Clash, he gets the opponent in a position like a pile driver, flips them up so they are kind of in a pile driver position, but then steps through their legs, so their legs are now behind. Sorry, their arms are now steps through their arms, so their arms are now behind his legs, and then he basically pancakes forward.
Yeah.
And what his opponent needs to do when he executes that move is tucking their head to protect it, is actually going like this because of the way the motion is going, so that their head is not hitting. And in this one instance, there was a wrestler who tucked in, spiking his head on the mat, which is not what Styles, is trying to do with this move. And it's, and again, it wasn't done on WWE. This was before he came to WWE, but there was, I remember reading about how he was considering just retiring the move because he did not want to put someone in the hospital, with that move.
Because all it takes is that one time,
right.
and because it is counterintuitive, like you're dealing with someone having to be completely aware and not just acting out of reflex. For me, in that, it's just it's the setup is so long. In a way, it's somewhat like how a lot of people do the pedigree now.
Yeah.
or even the pedigree itself. Like it just takes so long. It's like, okay, why wouldn't somebody do something? You know, it's one of those moments when the illusion can get cracked if the match isn't going. If you're not bought 100% into the match, like the illusion is cracked there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And
100%.
whereas the RKO, it can come out of nowhere.
They can.
All right, so that now takes us into.
So now we're technically in the field of 32.
No, that would have been the field of 32. This is now the Sweet 16, or our half of the Sweet 16.
Or sorry, we're moving now. You're going to drive me nuts with this stuff.
Well, I mean, if we try to do this
starting in
the other
field
way,
of 32, we're picking what would be the Sweet 16.
Sure. Yes. Or we could just say it's round 3. How about that?
Sure. Round 3.
Okay.
Fight.
So, do you want to go with this one here, sir?
Sure, I will kick us off. So in Region 1, I have the Choke Slam versus the Mandible Claw. I end up going with the Choke Slam. I have the Doomsday Device against the Pedigree. I move the Doomsday Device forward. I then had the DDT versus the Stunner, the Stone Cold Stunner, and I advanced the DDT.
Whoa. Okay.
Yes, I did.
Right on, sir.
Hell yeah. And then the last matchup, I had the Tombstone against the Vader Bomb, and I had to advance the Tombstone.
Okay, so we have a couple points of differentiation here. So,
all right.
Choke Slam versus Mandible Claw. I went with the Choke Slam.
Okay.
Mandible Claw is still one of the coolest finishers because it is that moment when you are able to get both wrestlers' face in frame on a submission move.
Yes.
In a close-up, which is utterly cool. It did turn into the Socko Claw, so it became slightly less,
yeah,
badass and more like, it's kind of fun. But still, Choke Slam is just the Goozle is just one of those things where I still kind of mark out for it when it happens. I had Figure 4 versus Pedigree. Figure 4 is going to go in this because, again, Pedigree, a little bit too much setup. And also, this is where I'm going to change it because I'm going to become even more inconsistent than I normally am. Because I'm now going to start applying the fact that so many, like, I do not like the fact that Seth Rollins uses a pedigree. I just don't. I don't, because and the other problem here is that some people take a pedigree better than others. A lot of people seem absolutely scared spitless to take a pedigree, and it shows in that the way that they take it, it looks like absolute ass. And I just wish they wouldn't use the move. Yeah. And this happens with Seth Rollins, and it's not even like, yeah, guys didn't sell it that well with Triple H, but that was his finisher, and that was going to be his finisher. Seth Rollins doesn't need to use it, and 90% of the time that he uses it, it looks like crap. And it's not necessarily because of him; it's the guy who's selling it. Because I mean, granted, like, yeah, you're putting your face into very close contact with the mat. I totally understand the human desire to not have that set of circumstances transpire. Believe me, I don't want it to happen to me. But at the same time, just don't do it because it looks like crap.
Yeah.
So I'm going to be a little inconsistent in that I'm not going to apply just the pure Triple H best case scenario to that. Up against the Figure 4, I'll take the Figure 4. DDT versus Stunner, I'm going to go with Stunner. And this is partially just because I really kind of got back into wrestling in the Attitude Era and have a lot of great memories of Stone Cold and just dropping that stunner on about 18 people right in a row. And that carries a lot of weight. DDT is still, this is another one of those ones where it's like, the stunner going up against the camel clutch was a crime. The DDT going up against the stunner in round 2 is a crime. It should not, a righteous God should not have allowed this to happen. This is an unjust world we live in. And then we have, for me, the Spine Buster versus the Vader Bomb. I'm going to advance the Vader Bomb because, again, Arn got his flowers. It don't hold a candle to the Vader Bomb. That's just the way it is.
All right.
So now, let's not go into bracket 2. Let's keep the party going with this one and get ourselves all the way to the winner of bracket 1.
All right. So I have let me see. So now I have the choke slam versus the Doomsday Device,
Mm.
and so I advanced the Doomsday Device here.
All right.
And then I had the DDT against the Tombstone, which that was an actual match, I believe, at WrestleMania. Which one was it? 7, I think. Yeah, I think it was.
We had
7?
Jacob the Snake up against Undertaker.
Jake the Snake
WrestleMania.
against the. There was Jake the Snake's last match before he left WWE.
Oh, that was when Jake was big.
Yeah, yeah. He went to WCW a few months later, actually,
And then he got bigger.
Oh no. He wasn't big at that point.
Oh, that's right. I'm thinking Austin.
You're thinking in the 90s. So
sorry.
But no, this was kind of the two agents of evil going against each other, and the Undertaker coming out the winner on that one. Not this time. Jake's DDT beats out the Tombstone here. So
oh, dude. All right. Take us all the way home. All the way home.
So I have the DDT against the Doomsday Device, and I'm sorry, I'm a sucker for the DDT. So that is what I have advanced.
I'm so up for that, dude. Yes.
As much as I enjoy the the Doomsday Device made it all the way to the quarter or the semis, but in Region 1. But Jake's DDT was just too damn nasty and such a great finisher for that time. So I advanced it.
I'm here for it. For me, I had the choke slam versus the figure 4. I'm going to advance the figure 4 again. I can't explain it. The heart wants what the heart wants. And then I had the stunner versus the Vader bomb. And, I think it's pretty obvious what's going to happen here. And we're going to advance the stunner on that one. And which brings us to the GOAT. I don't care what they're saying about Cena, right? You go right ahead and say that. The figure 4 versus Austin, the Stone Cold Stunner. And we're going to go with the stunner. And so, again, like on a different day, my bracket could have totally worked out with the DDT being there, because again, I could spend the next 20 minutes making a case for the DDT, even though I chose the stunner. I'm glad that it made it in your bracket.
Let's rewind a minute, though. What did the figure 4 overcome, please, in that second round?
The choke slam. You go right ahead and say it. Like I said, I'm not trying to explain this through logic in this case. The heart wants.
Clearly not.
What the heart wants.
Thank you, Sean. Okay. We
All right.
appreciate Mr. Bond gracing us with his presence.
Before we get into the bracket 2, I'm going to take another powder break here, and we will be right back a few moments later.
2,000 years later.
All right, and here we are at bracket 2. So now I believe we are in the third round here for bracket 2, correct?
We're in the second round for bracket 2. Sorry, we're picking the third round from the second round. You and I look at this differently.
That's pretty obvious. All right, what do you got here, sir?
All right. Let's see. So I have the GTS.
Actually, hang on a second. I feel like we need a little something here just to it's like sage.
Oh, you done did it now.
Oh,
we done did it.
This is Travis Scott shaking the sage around the ring. Bless it.
Drop this on them right here. Y'all ain't ready for this. Y'all ain't ready for none of this. Your boy's a bad man. Then we invading the streets, make them clap a rapper skirt. They be dropping the heat.
Yeah.
Shock the world, now I'm standing alone. I flip fools like them clamshell cellular phones. You can't help but dodge it to the track.
He's got to bring that to
The
WrestleMania.
watered down rap.
Oh, the fact that I just saw my double chin, like as I was doing this. It's not good.
Oh man, that's
not
funny.
good. All right, so who do you got coming into the third round here?
All right, so I have my first second round match is the GTS going against the Heart Attack. I'm going to advance the GTS.
Ooh, okay.
Second match is the Spike Pile Driver going against the Michinoku Driver. I'm actually going to advance the Spike Pile Driver because that is a devastating maneuver as much as I love that Michinoku Driver. Then I have in my third matchup Sister Abigail versus the Razor's Edge. I'm going to advance the Razor's Edge.
Yo.
Chico. And then the last match is going to be the Yes Lock versus the RKO, and I'm going to advance the RKO.
All right, so we've got more points of divergence here because I had the Gore versus Heart Attack. I'm going to advance the Heart Attack.
Ooh, okay.
Loved the Heart Foundation back in the day, even when they were heels. I still thought they were really cool. Even as probably my first dalliance with that whole anti-hero thing that once in my teens I was fully into. Like, oh yeah. But yeah, they were.
And on my side, there was some irony because CM Punk just did the Heart Attack maneuver with John Cena at Elimination Chamber. So to have his finisher go up against it was a little bit of irony.
That was, and that was so cool for both of those guys.
Oh yeah,
you know,
100%.
Then I had Spike Pile Driver versus Michinoku Driver as well. I'm actually going to advance Michinoku Driver just because when I first saw that move, I was like, what the high holy hell was that? And it was one of those things where I'm like, there's no way that guy didn't just compress their spine by 3 inches. Like, there's no, and to me, that's another criteria where a great finishing move is something like how do you do that safely?
The Spike Pile Driver?
No, like the Michinoku Driver.
Oh, the Michinoku Driver.
And to be able to do something like that safely over and over and over again, from a safety standpoint is great, but to still look devastating is a hallmark of a great move to me. And also just the fact that someone the size of Taka Michinoku, delivering that move, it was kind of just like, because it legit, it hid a lot of the help that was given to it, where it legit looked like Taka was doing it himself, and you're like, how the hell did you do that? Like, you're not a big dude. How'd you spin that person around up in the air?
Yeah.
And of course, I know that there's assistance and all that, but it's like a lot of that is hidden in that, and that's kind of the genius of the move. I then had the Kevin Owens pop-up powerbomb versus Razor's Edge. Again, I said it didn't matter if Sister Abigail came out of this or pop-up powerbomb. Razor's Edge is winning that one because nobody kicked out of the Razor's Edge.
Nope.
Nobody. Not the Razor Ramon Razor's Edge. Nobody kicked out of that.
Nope.
And then I had Yes Lock and RKO. We both agree on that one. I went with RKO as well.
All right. So now for my round 3 going into round 4. So I have the GTS versus the Spike Pile Driver. I'm going to advance the GTS. And then I have the Razor's Edge against the RKO. I'm going to advance the RKO.
Really?
Yes.
Okay, take us home. Who wins out of that match?
So it's kind of funny because Punk and Orton are also good opponents of one another and have a friendship there. But with the GTS against the RKO, I will claim complete bias toward the man himself. I'm going to advance the GTS, even though there may not be a logical argument to it. It may very well be that the RKO could be the more effective one, given how he hits it out of nowhere. But I have always enjoyed the GTS maneuver, and I will advance that into the final 4.
Wow. Okay. Well, for me, I wind up with the Heart Attack versus the Michinoku Driver. I'm going old school on this one. Heart Attack is going to win that one.
Wow.
Gotta have at least one tag move coming out of this, getting a little deeper on this. And then I've got Razor's Edge versus RKO. I'm going to go with Razor's Edge. Just because, again, ain't nobody kicked out of that old school Razor Ramon, Razor's Edge, man. And it looked devastating.
He did one of those on Shawn Michaels on the entryway, like the cement floor. I don't know how he protected him. I mean, Michaels clearly continued to wrestle, and it wasn't, and he did it. You could tell he was doing it a little bit differently because he kind of came down awkwardly, he was trying to get to his knees before he slid him down off his back, kind of onto the cement. But yeah, it was, or no, I'm sorry. I think it was Michaels who did it to, I'll have to look that up.
It wasn't Michaels delivering it to Razor. That can't.
No, maybe it was Ray. I'll have to look it up. Yeah. Cause for some reason I have I have this in my head, picture of Michaels trying to give Razor the Razor's Edge on the outside, and that can't be right. Anyways, I'll have to look it up, but yeah, no, I get it. Razor's Edge is that was a devastating move for its time.
Yeah, and there was no other move like that.
Yep.
Because you have the physicality of literally picking the dude up, and maybe it's the being an old fart at this point and not remembering it clearly. But I just remember seeing that. Oh yeah, granted. It didn't feel like it took as long for him to set that up as it does with Damian Priest.
Yes.
It felt like it was a much quicker setup.
Yep.
He held them up longer. Like but it's a setup of getting the person up. And I felt like Scott Hall held them there, but the setup was quicker. So they got him there. And then it was the anticipation of holding them, then delivering the move. Whereas Damian Priest seems like he takes a little bit longer to get them there.
Yeah.
And that kind of takes the wind out of the sails. So yeah, just from the standpoint of execution, it's one of those finishing moves to me that's like, I don't know how you improve on it. I really don't. Like the DDT, I don't know how you improve on that, which we can talk about that in one of the other brackets, because we did have a person who attempted to improve on the DDT. I don't think they did, but it was unique. So here I have Heart Attack versus Razor's Edge, kind of two pre-Attitude Era finishers, and Razor's Edge is going to advance. So for me, the first half of my final four is the Stone Cold Stunner versus the Razor's Edge, and we'll have to wait until next week.
And mine is the DDT versus the GTS.
I mean, not quite as iconic, but oh well.
I'm efficient that way. Both moves, 3 letters. There you have it.
You totally did that just for that sake, didn't you?
And the overriding theme of Uncle Todd's picks right there. Right there.
Oh, so the Stone Cold Stunner is wrong.
No, Stone Cold Stunner is right. Some of your other choices were wrong.
Okay. So we will have the culmination of brackets 3 and 4 next Friday, along with then we will go through our final 4. And
now, help me understand. Are we doing the final 4 and the finals all next episode? So we're doing it all, or
yes, we're gonna go through brackets 3 and 4 just as we did. We will get to our final 2 there, and then we will have our final 4 matchups, and then we'll get the ultimate winner next week for episode 201.
So this being our 200th episode.
Yes,
I think
and we have time to burn. So go right ahead.
No, we do not have time to burn. Thank you very much.
You don't have to work. I can make my own hours.
I'm getting tired. I did all this driving downtown and here, there, and everywhere. And I've walked. Let me see. How many steps have I walked today?
You walked. Wow. The thing that human beings are supposed to do.
11,000 steps today.
Dude, you're supposed to get like 10,000 minimum.
Yeah, well, I get the minimum plus 1,000 more, and I'm tired.
That's not that much of an achievement, sir.
Well,
just saying.
Just leave me alone. I'm tired, nonetheless.
It's like Yokozuna only ate 8 pounds of, friggin' steak tips when he went to Arby's.
Well,
actually, steak tips aren't at Arby's. 99 restaurant.
Oh, good Lord. The old 99. The old 96er. All right. Yeah, we got some good digesting going on there. Keep it going.
I'll tell you what, will you throw in some T-shirts for the kids if I stuff a dessert down them?
Dan Aykroyd was insufferable in that movie.
So good. And then the cutaways to the raccoons with the translation.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
I remember. Okay, so I remember one of my, and it's funny. So my father, at this point, I want to say, oh my gosh, it's a shame. I don't remember the exact number of years. My father's been gone for a few years now, and it's about a month since the anniversary of his passing. But not to get all maudlin, I'm just for context. Love my dad. He was a great guy, and I remember one of the times that he laughed a lot. He had a great sense of humor. Oh my gosh. And he could range from just dry sense of humor, sarcasm, all of it. He was a Swiss Army knife of humor. One of the times I saw him laugh the hardest was during the water skiing scene in The Great Outdoors. he was crying. Like, I literally was worried we were gonna have to call. I was like prepared to jump up and dial 911. He was red. He seemed like he was having trouble breathing. I'm like, I can't tell if he's having a heart attack or if he's
That's
really
funny.
enjoying this. Tears streaming down his face. Still to this day, I can picture it because I can even picture the way he was sitting on the couch. It was a sunny day. The front door was open. Like, I can picture all of that, and he was laughing himself silly over that. And that movie is legit, like, just so friggin' funny, and it doesn't get the credit it deserves as like a great comedy, because I don't know why. I feel like so many of John Candy's movies in general just get underappreciated, but oh my gosh, that movie was so hilarious on so many fronts.
Yes.
And even like had some of that genuine like 1980s, like,
oh yeah,
slightly inappropriate, comedy where, he's playing pool and the pool cue is goes back and the girl's there, and it's like, that doesn't fly today, but at the time it was like that was a normal thing in 80s movies.
yes.
But anyways, oh my gosh, so great.
So
great.
Where I was originally going to go before we went off on
sorry.
the Great Outdoors tangent is, I feel, given it's our 200th, to go back. I don't know. I don't remember the exact episode numbers, but I may go back and listen to when we did our brackets around the BSG episodes, because I got to tell you, sir, we flew through these tonight.
Oh, we did.
When we did those episodes, we debated, we debated the debate, and then we debated the debate of the debate.
Yes,
because we passionately felt strongly about these picks that we were doing, and why, and why, where, how, and the justification for everything. And my God, we took every minute, every second of those 4 weeks that we recorded across the 4 brackets. Did we do 5 episodes? I think we did 4.
Yes, because I think we did 4.
Because we did the finals, right?
Yes.
Oh my God.
And I mean, and
that was a slog, my friend. That was a slog.
To borrow a phrase from Seth Rollins, like, we burned it down, and then we sifted through the cinders, and then we snorted the ashes. It was literally like Apocalypse Now. Like, we went into the jungle and we slowly went insane on Battlestar Galactica.
Yes.
And you know what? I loved every moment of it.
Yeah.
By the end of those episodes, I believe we were both drunk, and we were arguing about everything, including like our friendship.
Probably.
It was fantastic. And I'm surprised that we're still here a few years later.
Yeah. Absolutely.
But
all right. Well,
great.
I'm going to take
any other greatest hits from our past 199 episodes. Any moments that you want to call out? I mean,
oh gosh,
this is kind of a landmark here.
Okay, we're at an hour. Let's not turn this into 2. Okay. I see what you're doing. Sure. Let's break up the Week in Geek in the episode, and they'll be shorter. It's like, no.
It's a landmark episode. I thought you would have. I thought, I just got misty-eyed, nostalgic. I thought you might want to, but seeing as how you're an unfeeling bastard, okay, fine. Let's just rush to the end here.
If you wanted to have this episode be a special callback to past episodes,
I didn't want to do the whole episode.
No.
I'm just asking you for a moment or two, a thought, perhaps.
The episodes that stand out to me, I appreciated when we had our mutual friend Mike Brindamore on to talk about Rush. And then
that was a great learning experience for me. It was really cool hearing you two talk about, because I'm usually the person who's just like effusively gushing about stuff that I love. It was really cool to hear you two talk about
and
that.
Likewise, when we had your friend Jim Robbins on to talk about Tower, right? Did I have his name right?
Yep.
Tower of Power.
Well, Robbins, but yeah.
Robbins, sorry. Hey, I still have my fulfilled going on, So
you're slipping back into character. I see. Sorry.
Excuse me.
I didn't realize you were method acting.
Indeed. And those 2 episodes stand out because they were just a lot of fun to talk about music. Not to mention at the end of the Tower of Power episode, how off the cuff, shooting from the hip, you two, and I dropped a couple of titles in because my knowledge of Tower of Power is limited at best. But you two did a phenomenal, just kept chaining the song titles together as you were kind of closing the show out. and that was just a lot of fun. It was fun to hear you two do that, but it was also fun to be a part of it as well. And then of course our all of our BSG episodes were were just I mean, not that I'm not excited when I do these episodes, but there was something fun about geeking out over that show with you that I had just never had the opportunity to do before. And so yeah, so that was those stand out in my mind. Oh gosh, what else? There's a couple of interesting episodes we did. I think we did one episode that was kind of our survival guide to COVID, which
Yes.
I don't know if that still stands up now or not, but it was like,
that was just us trying to get through it,
maintaining my sanity. We did have the first the No Holds Barred episode.
Oh gosh, the commentary episode. Yes,
the commentary. I think was that the first one where we did treated it that way. Yeah.
Oh my gosh,
that was awful. Just off.
We need to do another. We need to do another commentary now, especially if we're splitting off the Week in Geek. Like we could afford to do like a 2-hour episode commentary. Aside from that, we could probably pull that off. Yeah, that was good.
So. What are some that stand out for you? Because I've rattled off a few there that.
I forgot about the end of the Tower of Power episode. I might have to go back and find that one. That was a lot of fun. I remember the fact that we kept on doing the Brady Geddon episodes because we thought it was over, and then it was the topic that wouldn't effing die.
Yes.
It was just kept on coming back and back and back and back, and we had Jason Ward on.
Yes.
For at least one of them.
He might have been on for 2. Right, when he was going to Tampa.
Yeah, I almost feel like we had him on for 2, though. Did we have him on for 2? I think
no,
we had
I
him
think
on for
just
2.
one. I thought it was just one. Maybe it was 2. I don't remember.
But that was fun. Because again, that now means that I've spoken with 3 members of Rustic Overtones on different podcasts. I'm in like Pokemon territory. I want to collect them all.
I do want to call out a multi-time guest on the show, Jimmy Dice, who has been on to talk Star Wars. That of course, those are always fun conversations, and we had some very good discussions around not only the movies but the Thrawn books. When we did Heir to the Empire. What was the second one? The Last Command, and then I can't think of the middle one.
No, gosh, it's over there in my bookcase, but I'm not.
But we discussed the original trilogy, and then I believe we did a discussion around one of the later trilogies from like 2017.
It was the second Thrawn. It was the second
Thrawn trilogy.
Because I had one of his books for like a month and a half, and he needed it back for an episode. I finally got it to him.
It's like, get it to me so I can speak to the episode.
He kind of turned into oh my gosh, who was the guy? It was the old Hollywood squares, not the old Hollywood, the middle Hollywood squares, I guess. Where he was the guy who was always on. They're like, oh, in the bottom square is blah 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 blah, and he kind of became that for us for quite a long time. We got to have him back on.
We do have to have
those
him
are
back
so
on.
fun because he's
by
never
the way.
Video.
A couple episodes ago, we had a show idea where we were talking about how would we rank certain Star Wars properties above, like you would say Rogue One is above Empire, and I was saying Empire is the best, Star Wars, and we talked about maybe we need to have Jimmy Dice on to talk about what is the best of the best.
I think we do. We need him to adjudicate that. I almost feel like we need to set in a way we need to set like a bar. Like, what is the Mendoza line for Star Wars? Like, what would we set that at? Because it's obviously not Empire, because Empire and I think Rogue One obviously are towards the top.
And Jimmy Dice won't set Solo's not there. Solo's above it.
Well, I think we need to. We might need to establish that on our own, because I don't think Jimmy Dice can't be objective about Solo. That's just not going to happen.
Good stuff. Good stuff.
But no, yeah, totally. Jimmy Dice. Oh, here's to you, sir. Wherever you may be tonight. Hopefully not face down in a gutter.
Hey, and
maybe spooning with a bantha. Who knows?
Good to call out too. Especially as we were, what started out as just kind of a fun weekly thing for us to connect turned into things like album one-on-one. The Real and Jabroni came up with a few different variations of episodes that we've done several of, and hopefully have been entertaining to the masses, as well as I'm trying to think what else. All the wrestling, kind of coverage we've done with picks and rumors and theories and that sort of thing. We're kind of riding the wave of this. Kind of, I don't want to call it a golden age, but we're in a little bit of a golden age of wrestling right now for WWE, where things are firing on all cylinders, and it's
it's been
an enjoyable product. So.
It's been a weird ride on that because we kind of started watching it, or at least I started watching again, kind of late COVID period, like during the Thunderdome period.
Yeah,
and then there was the whole excitement about AEW, and then the entire
Punk coming back.
Yep, the entire
in AEW.
Yeah, and then the entire Vince saga, and then Punk coming back in WWE is like, it's been a wild ride just on that front.
Yeah,
it's kind of crazy.
And one gimmick we started that we never took beyond one episode. I don't know if you remember this.
Okay.
It was, I'm trying to remember the gimmick name for it, but we were talking about like pairs of movies or something like that.
Oh, yeah.
We started with the Marvel. Yeah. Like we started with the Marvel Infinity Saga, or at least the Infinity War Endgame. And then we were going to move through like a couple other, like Godfather 1 and 2 was going to be another one. And then we never really advanced that idea from the initial.
Yeah.
Oh, and then who is your screenwriting friend we had on where we talked about Rocky and stuff like that?
Oh, Mel Barrett. She's done fantastic. She's actually doing really well in podcasting right now.
Nice.
Oh my gosh, what is the name of her?
We should have her on again.
She might be beyond us at this point.
Come on now, she's got to remember the little people that got her going.
Well, maybe. Let me do a quick little search here because she is. I want to make sure I get this right. It's the In Between podcast. Okay. And you can find that on most major podcast streaming services. The season she just did was on the Pam Smart.
Oh wow!
Saga in New Hampshire, which was the one
That's
of
deep.
Yeah, so this is back in the day when we had the first that I remember teacher having an affair with a student and then the spouse being killed. She kind of dove into that. I actually I did a couple of voiceovers for that, which is kind of cool. But she's been doing so well with that, and has been she actually got picked up for syndication on like a. Someone's been working with her to kind of push her episodes and stuff, so she's been doing really good on that, and that's
nice.
I'm so happy that she's kind of been nailing those out, so that's kind of cool. But she might be out of our price range in terms of episodes at this point.
Well, never hurts to ask. But did you know I was going through Spotify just now, since it's way easier to go through our entire catalog of 200 episodes through Spotify than it is Podbean. But do you remember? We used to do some episodes on Westworld.
Oh my gosh, yes. And then so we did the first. I remember the first 2 seasons were like we were hardcore.
Yes, we were.
3rd season we wandered, and then 4th season we just kind of like.
Yeah.
I don't then it disappeared.
I don't think we watched the 4th season. I think I started to, and then it got ripped off of HBO or something like that.
I don't even think I started. And then I remember I was like, oh, I'll get around to it. And then they're like, yeah, it's gone. I'm like, wait a minute. You guys produced the show.
Mm-hmm.
Why are you taking it off your, like, why would you do that?
Yeah.
Like, that still to me is baffling. Why you would take that off, unless it's because they were hoping by putting it, because I think it's on Amazon or something like that, and you can buy episodes. Like, is that why they're doing that? Is it because they're hoping to milk some money out of it? I don't get it, but it's weird. So I've never seen season 4.
Okay,
I kind of would like to.
Strangest happening, at least on Podbean with our episodes. Do you remember when we did?
I know where you're going with this.
The Kevin Costner episode.
Oh, okay. No, you're not going with
Crowning the King of Sports Movies.
I do.
That one like shot up like some crazy number. Like I don't know what the heck happened, but I just remember being at Ravinia with my wife, and I happened to look at Podbean to see how many downloads we had, and it was in like, I don't know, it was some crazy number. It was like 60 or 70. It was pushing its way to 100, which I know sounds funny because most successful podcasts probably go well beyond 100, but for us that was a big deal. So, but it just kind of came out of nowhere. It was really weird.
So the funny thing is, that is one of our top episodes. So that was one of that was actually, I think, the first one that really kind of went big for us.
Yeah.
The biggest is episode 107, called "Talk to Me Nostalgia: Top Gun Maverick Reactions."
Oh, that's right. That one. Yes, that was the other one.
806 downloads on Podbean for that one.
Holy moly.
And then the next one after that is Unpopular Opinion: The Last Jedi is a great Star Wars movie.
That has how many downloads?
147. Yeah, so by far. And then the third is our first episode, Fans, the Worst and the Best.
I got to go back and listen to that one.
Going back to July 11th, 2019.
Where it all began.
Yep.
We started out and sounded like something off an NPR.
Ooh, that's rough.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen.
Welcome to Free Range Idiocy.
We're going to do a show for you. Now we come in, we're like, bah!
Yeah.
It's like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, I think we're even sober for that one.
Hey, that was back when we were doing the "What Are You Drinking" segment before we started, where we used to talk about the fine, beers and.
When you were still drinking beer.
When I was still drinking beer. This is before I.
And that's when I was in the basement bedroom, and I had the window fridge.
Yes.
So I'd open up the window, and now if we were on video, I could show it. But I would open up the window and stick the beers out there. It was like 20 degrees out, and to keep the beer nice and cold. So I'd have my little.
I did some recordings from my garage. Because
from your garage, yeah,
because at the
on
time,
the recycling bins.
Yes, because at the time, both the kids were home, had school, and we tend to go a little late, as we've alluded to, and so I was trying to not, disrupt sleeping arrangements for them while I was recording in the basement. So,
well, and the thing is, I never realized. So, 3 years ago. Oh my gosh! No, not 3 years ago. This was it last year that I came out there?
Yeah, last year.
Yeah, and I actually saw like the layout of your house,
mm-hmm.
and realizing like you have to go outside to get to your garage.
Yeah.
I did not realize that. I'm like, oh, holy hell! Like this is.
Well, I was doing that probably in the late summer, early fall when it was still warm.
Yeah, but still, I didn't realize like you had to go outside to get to the garage.
Yeah.
Like I'm like, oh my gosh, this is an arduous task, and the fact that like there's no windows out there.
No, so
I assumed there was a window.
I would shut the garage door, so I was completely locked in. I just had the garage light on. I had no idea if my neighbors walked by and we're hearing me gabbing about something. So yeah, it was we have been scrappy over the last 6 years. We have made it work.
Mm-hmm.
And here's to another 200 episodes, my friend.
Yes, indeed, sir. I would toast to that, but I
have a little bit of seltzer here. I'm gonna.
Oh, actually, hang on a second. No, I'm not gonna get it. I'm too lazy. But yes, so it will be. It's been a hell of a ride. And that being said, sir,
yes.
What do you have for And Another Thing?
This one's going to be quite simple. Yesterday evening, went out to the movie theater with the family, and we took in The Godfather. We had a movie theater in the area that was showing it in the theater, and so this was my first time seeing it in a theater setting. It was the first time for both of my adult children to see the movie themselves, and my wife as well to see it in theater. And I got to be honest, it was really, really a great experience. The film, I don't know if this was refurbished or not, but I mean, the film looked very vibrant color wise. It wasn't faded. It wasn't anything. I mean, it looked great.
Mm-hmm.
The sound really stood out to me. Like the music just had a different volume and tone to it that I wasn't used to, because I've only ever watched it on a DVD coming out of a television set that's probably on the other side of the room that I'm sitting on and is not theater quality.
Yeah.
So no, I mean, it was just a great experience to see that in a theater. So I would highly encourage, if that movie, or really any older movie, you know, my wife and I like to go see other older movies. We've seen Casablanca. It's an annual thing that we go see Halloween, because that is in theaters as
Oh,
well.
you romantic.
Indeed. You know, can't see enough of Michael Myers stabbing people left, right, and center. And then we've also seen When Harry Met Sally, which, you know, sounds silly to say, but that is now 30 years old, sir. So, or close to it.
That's a leap between those two movies.
It is. But the point is to go see old movies in the theaters. Oh, The Sandlot. I got one of my birthdays. The family took me to see The Sandlot in the movie theater, which was really cool because I had never seen that in the theater. So, you know, The Godfather, or really any old movie in the theater, go check it out because it is a great experience. Star Wars as well. Phenomenal to see in the theater. What about you, sir? What is your and another thing?
My and another thing is going to be a show that my family has become obsessed with. What was I doing? I was gone for something the other night and came home, and my wife and Kaylin were watching this show, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, you have to watch this. You will love this." And I was like, "All right, well, you already watched the first episode. Like, we'll rewatch the first episode with you." And they were already like, I think they were halfway into the second episode. But it is The Residence on Netflix, and this is a murder mystery that is set in the White House, the residence portion of the White House, and it has a varied cast of characters. It is centering around the murder of the head usher of the White House, who's essentially the person who runs the operations of the White House. And the head usher is played by none other than Giancarlo Esposito. And unlike this is only mildly spoilerific.
Okay.
Unlike The Acolyte, where we get Carrie-Anne Moss and she gets jobbed out in the first 10 minutes, and then essentially really doesn't show up all that much, except in a couple of flashbacks, but they're not even meaningful flashbacks, really, like used very poorly. Giancarlo Esposito is used very well. So even though he is the subject of the murder, they do use him as an actor, and he is a presence in the show, even though, you know, he's a subject of the murder. There's no way to get around it.
Yeah.
Beginning episode. And it is sent around bringing in this consulting detective, Cordelia Cupp, who is very much a Benoit Blanc sort of character, a very quirky sort of consulting detective. While she is not Foghorn Leghorn, my stars. She is her own character and is amazing.
Yeah.
And it is so funny. It is so great. It is so compelling. My wife, God love her, she does not understand episodic television, and she gets so frustrated with the fact that like shows end on cliffhangers. And I'm like, dear, this is how television works.
Yeah.
This is a murder mystery. Every episode is going to end on a cliffhanger, and it is to get you to watch the next show. So we come to the end of an episode, and it ends on the cliffhanger, predictably. And she's like, "Ah!" I'm like, "This is how it works."
Yeah. Yeah.
And it catches her every single time, and it is hilarious and also frustrating, because then she's like, "Do we have time to watch another one?" I'm like, "No, we don't. It's 10 o'clock. Like, I've got to work in the morning. You have to work in the morning. We work together. We have to work in the morning." No, but it is compelling. It is only 8 episodes, which again is another source of frustration, because we had to drop that bomb on her last night that there's only 8 episodes. Like, what? It's only one season? I'm like, it just came out.
Yeah.
So she's already pissed off that like this is not going to be more Cordelia Cup. We got 3 more episodes to go. She's already pissed off that it's going to end. I'm like, this is not going to end well. This is going to be a hell of a weekend that we have here as we're traveling for college visits, where she's going to be, you know, like, what do you think the next mystery is going to be? I don't know. I'm not writing the next season of The Residence. Why don't you put me in for a recommendation? If you have any friends at Netflix, I'll gladly come up with some ideas for Cordelia.
Give me a little
My goodness. But it is fantastic. It is a lot of fun. It's funny. It is one of those things where, and they're building kind of characters, and they focus on things, but then they take these hard left turns, and it's overall is just a lot of fun. So definitely recommend that one on the Netflix. And ladies and gentlemen, that is the end of our show here. Thank you so much for tuning in. We do so appreciate you all tuning in here, all the members of the Free Range Idiocy congregation. If you would like, you can subscribe by going to yes, thank you. You can go to freerangeidiocy.com, and that will have all of our episodes. You can also find us on the YouTubes for full video episodes. We're also on Spotify with video as well. We're on the socials, which are the Instagram, the Facebook, the YouTubes. All of those are at Free Range Idiocy. And thank you for joining us here on Free Range Idiocy Friday. And if you haven't noticed already, there is also Week in Geek Wednesday. That is where we have separated out our Week in Geek segment into a separate show entirely for your listening and viewing pleasure. You can find that at the same stream that you're finding this show. You can find it at the same YouTube channel, all of that stuff. It's just...
Mr. Crusher, deploy the sail.
Yes, it's just... Oh my gosh, I forgot about that.
That's an inside joke, ladies and gentlemen.
Okay. I'm so surprised that we made it to Chicago without just crashing off of a bridge.
Yeah, basically.
The only reason we didn't is because there's so few bridges through Ohio. It's just freaking cornfields. Yeah. Just keep them going straight, giggling and just looking for a Subway to stop for a meatball sandwich. Anyways, where was I? So, you can find the Week in Geek on Wednesday. You can find us on Free Range Idiocy Fridays. You have 2 chances per week to catch these idiots. We thank you so much for listening. If you have any thoughts, questions, or concerns, you can send those to Tim at freerangeidiocy.com. And then we will, he will get back to you forthwith, if not sooner. And now, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for me to turn this show over. To turn the helm over, the con, if you will. The con is yours, Mr. Sula. Over to the man who's sitting next to the man. Who's sitting next to the man. Who's sitting next to the man. Who's sitting next to the... Okay, we're not going to follow that all the way through. But the lesser idiot of the 2 idiots who run this show, but not before I ask him the second most important question of all time. The first, of course, being what is hip. The second being... the hell did we learn this episode? And in fact, if you want to sum it up this week.
We've learned the following, my friend.
Good.
We have learned that after 200 episodes, we're finally getting the hang of this thing.
You have way more confidence in this than I do. I still have no fracking clue what I'm doing.
We are moving upward, onward, and forward. If nothing else, with this show, and this is evidenced by the fact that we have finally made the decision to excise ourselves of the Week in Geek.
Okay, can I just ask you one question?
Yes.
We're really moving onwards, upwards, and forwards.
Yes.
Has your wife listened to any of these episodes yet?
No.
Neither is mine. So 200 episodes, our wives are totally fracking disinterested. That is probably our greatest streak, ladies and gentlemen.
Well, got to take the victories where you can get. We've also learned that when it comes to the wrestling finishers, man, they call Tim spot on. Uncle Todd, little off on that one. Just differences of opinion.
Of all the things I've been called in my life, a little off is actually pretty good. I'll take it. I grew up as a fat kid, as an only child.
Well, we've also learned, from our deep catalog of episodes, we've had some highs and some lows, but do go back in the catalog, check it out. Our BSG episodes, our Star Wars episodes, our Marvel episodes. We have a wide range, and why not go back and check it out?
Just a huckster at this point.
And
Marvel,
hey, check out the first check out the first episode and just see how boring we could actually sound.
Please don't. Skip to episode 2, 3. Actually, just skip right to 10.
Oh my gosh.
We might have found our voice by then.
I'm going to jump back to our episode from Wednesday on the Week in Geek and just call out the weekend shenanigans. We've also learned that the man they call Tim is a newly minted member of the Alpha Sigma Phi fraternity, and Uncle Todd has now attended his first indie wrestling show. So both of us going where, well, some have gone before, but we never thought we'd be. So,
and we both endured a spanking.
Stop that. Stop that.
It's okay. It's okay. And even if you enjoyed it, it's all right.
Nope.
Nope. You didn't enjoy it?
Stop it. You're wrong. There. Post note of doom has spoken.
Point at me.
All right. I'm going to wrap this thing up. With all that being said...
That means you did enjoy it.
Stop it. With all that being said, we thank you again for the downloads, for the listenership, as Uncle Todd has already mentioned. And as we wrap things up here on The Range for this week, be safe, be healthy, be kind, be good to one another. You don't have to go home, but you can't stay here. The range is closed for now. See ya.
I like a Mussolini. It's like I took the wrong week to quit drinking.
I beg your pardon, what did you say?
Damn!
You're such a disappointing pair. I prayed so hard for you. Get out. And don't come back until you've redeemed yourselves.
So say we all.
So say we all.
And what is the music we would have for our 200th episode? What your picks are? What would you like to play for 200 episodes? You have the soundboard in front of you. Pick what you feel represents hitting 200.
American dream.
That is exactly, I think, what we need. Oh, the cowbell, too. Give me the cowbell. There it is. Oh, my gosh. That is hysterical.
He's just a common man, working hard for the man. Hey, he's a American dream.
Yes, he is.
Now get the hell out of here!